Welcome to Wisdom Trek with Gramps. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, and we are on day 2422 of our trek. The purpose of Wisdom Trek is to create a legacy of wisdom, to seek out discernment and insights, and to boldly grow where few have chosen to grow before. In today's Wisdom Nugget, I'll guide you through the vast landscapes of biblical wisdom. Today we'll be exploring Psalm chapter 9, verses 11 through 20 from the New Living Translation. This portion of the psalm continues David's powerful theme of praise, justice, and God's protection. Let's dive into these verses and uncover the timeless truths that they hold. Psalm chapter 9, verses 11 through 20. Sing praises to the Lord who reigns in Jerusalem. Tell the world about his unforgettable deeds. For he who avenges murderers cares for the helpless. He does not ignore the cries of those who suffer. Lord, have mercy on me. See how my enemies torment me. Snatch me back from the jaws of death. Save me so I can praise you publicly in Jerusalem's gates, so I can rejoice that you have rescued me. The nations fall into the pit that they have dug for others. Their own feet have been caught in the trap that they set. The Lord is known for his justice. The wicked are trapped by their own deeds. The wicked will go down to the grave. This is the fate of all nations who ignore God. But the needy will not be ignored forever. The hopes of the poor will not be always crushed. Arise, O Lord, do not let mere mortals defy you. Judge the nations. Make them tremble in fear, O Lord. Let the nations know that they are merely human. David begins this segment of psalm with a call to worship. Sing praises to the Lord who reigns in Jerusalem. Tell the world about his unforgettable deeds. Here David invites us to join him in praising God, not just privately, but publicly. He encourages us to tell the world about God's marvelous and unforgettable deeds. This is a reminder that our faith and gratitude should not be hidden. Sharing our testimonies of God's goodness can inspire and uplift others. In verse 12, David provides a compelling reason for this praise. For he who avenges murder cares for the helpless. He does not ignore the cries of those who suffer. This verse underscores God's deep concern for justice and his compassionate nature. God is not distant or indifferent. He actively cares for the helpless and hears the cries of those who suffer. This assurance of God's attentiveness and justice is a powerful motivator for our praise and proclamation. In verses 13 and 14, David's prayer shifts to a personal plea for mercy and rescue. Lord, have mercy on me. See how my enemies torment me. Snatch me back from the jaws of death. Save me so I can praise you publicly at Jerusalem gates, so that I can rejoice that you have rescued me. David is in a desperate situation, tormented by his enemies and facing a threat of death. Yet even in this distress, he focuses on God's mercy and deliverance. God's request is not just for his own sake, but to continue praising God publicly. He desires to stand at Jerusalem's gates and rejoice in his rescue. This shows us that our deliverance and blessings should lead to public praise and testimony. When God rescues us, it's an opportunity to give him the glory and encourage others with our story and his faithfulness. In verses 15 and 16, David reflects the fate of the wicked. The nations have fallen into the pit that they have dug for themselves. Their own feet have been caught by the trap that they set. The Lord is known for his justice, and the wicked are trapped by their own deeds. These verses highlight the principles of divine retribution. The wicked often fall into the very traps that they set for others. This self-inflicted downfall is a testament to God's justice. The phrase, "the Lord is known for his justice," reminds us that God's actions reveal his character. His justice is evident in the way that their own schemes ensnare the wicked. This principle reassures us that God's righteous judgment will ultimately prevail even when they seem like injustice prevails. In verses 17 and 18, contrast the wicked's fate with the needy's hope. The wicked go down to the grave. This is the fate of all nations who ignore God. But the needy will not be ignored forever. The hopes of the poor will not always be crushed. Here David underscores the ultimate fate of those who turn away from God. They are destined for the grave, a symbol of finality and separation from God. In contrast, the needy and the poor are assured that they will not be ignored forever. Their hopes will not always be crushed. This promise offers profound comfort and hope to those who feel marginalized or oppressed. It assures them that God will see their plight and act on their behalf. These verses remind us of the importance of aligning ourselves with God's justice and compassion rather than turning away from him. David concludes this segment with a passionate plea for God's intervention in verses 19 and 20. Arise, O Lord, do not let mere mortals defy you. Judge the nations. Make them tremble with fear, O Lord. Let the nations know that they are merely human. David calls on God to rise up and assert his authority over the nations. He prays for God to judge the nations and make them aware of their human limitations. This plea for divine intervention highlights the urgency of recognizing God's sovereignty. David desires not for his personal vindication, but for the nations to acknowledge their place before God. This plea resonates with us today as we seek God's intervention in a world often marked by defiance and disregard of his authority. As we reflect on Psalm 9, verses 11 through 20, several key lessons emerge that we can apply to our own lives. First, we need to praise publicly. Like David, we should praise God privately and share his deeds publicly. Our testimony of God's goodness can inspire and uplift others. Second, seek God's mercy. In times of distress, turn to God for mercy and rescue. Our deliverance should lead to public praise and testimony of God's faithfulness. Third, trust in divine justice. Remember that God's justice will ultimately prevail. The wicked may seem to prosper for a time, but they will face the consequences of their actions. Fourth, hold on to hope. God does not forget the needy and the oppressed. Their hopes will not always be crushed. Trust in God's compassion and care for those who are marginalized. And fifth, recognize God's sovereignty. Acknowledge God's ultimate authority over the nations. Pray for his intervention and for the world to recognize their place before him. Applying these lessons to our daily lives can deepen our faith and transform how we face challenges. Public praise fosters a spirit of gratitude and witness. Seeking God's mercy in distress strengthens our reliance on him. Trusting in his divine justice gives us confidence and peace. Holding on to hope reassures us of God's care and compassion. Recognizing God's sovereignty reminds us of his ultimate control over all things. As we conclude our exploration of Psalm chapter 9, verses 11 through 20, let's carry these lessons with us on our journey. Praise God publicly, seek his mercy, trust in his justice, hold on to hope, and recognize his sovereignty. By doing so, we align ourselves with the Psalm's timeless wisdom and navigate life's complexities with faith and assurance. And thank you for joining me on this episode of Wisdom Trek. May these insights from Psalm chapter 9 inspire and strengthen you as you continue your trek through life. Until the next time, keep seeking God's wisdom, cherish each moment, and continue to positively impact the world around you. And if you found this podcast insightful, please subscribe and leave us a review. Then encourage your friends and family to join us and come along with us tomorrow for another day of Wisdom Trek, creating a legacy. And thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, and most importantly, I am your friend as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal. As we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and leave a living legacy each day. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and create a great day every day. See you next time for more daily wisdom.